Hey guys, Joel's here with another reasoning session, and today I'm going to be talking about faith and how it applies when we manifest.
Come now and let us reason together. Come now, we can talk it over.
Now, the word faith is something that gets thrown around a lot, and it's used for a lot of different contexts. And no doubt, many of us that have grown up in a religious institutional background have probably heard the phrase, faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. But really, what is faith? Sometimes that word itself means different things to different people. Like sometimes people will use the term faith like, what faith are you? Are you Jewish? Are you Christian? Are you Muslim? Are you Buddhist? Like the term faith even means like what kind of creed. So it means different things to different people, but we have to define it properly if we're going to understand how to implement what it's describing in the text. So the text does describe it as the assurance of things hoped for, but what does that really mean? Does that just mean you believe something and that's that? You know, is it just the intention that you set, or is it deeper than that? Well, this whole text is contextually contractual, and anytime it defines something, it develops that concept and it exemplifies it through example and through details. And it defines things detailingly and very concisely, so when we break it down, we can actually see what it's talking about. In other passages from the book of James, it talks about it in more detail. In chapter 2, verse 14, it says, "What does it profit, my brethren, though a man say he has faith and has not works? Can faith save him?" So this is talking about, when you set your intention, that's all well and good. Don't ignore that part of the story. But if you don't have works, and another translation actually says corresponding works. If you don't have the corresponding works that you need to take in order to bring that action to pass, it asks, can faith save him? Can just setting your intention save you? If we read further, it even says, even so, faith, if it has not works, or as we understand, corresponding action, is dead. So the corresponding action is actually what's going to define the process wherewith to get whatever intention you've set out. It's all well and good to actually intend things, to actually want things and set forth visualizations or however you're doing that. But your actions have to correspond and actually have to be in line with bringing that to pass in your own reality. You can't just sit and say, oh yeah, I've set my intention, I visualized, and now this thing is going to happen, and I could just sit here and it's going to fall in my lap. That's not how it works. You actually have to bear that fruit in the world wherewith it will actually come to pass. I'm not saying force it. I'm not saying fake it, because that is not corresponding action. That's actually action in the opposite direction. And if you act out of fear, if you act out of urgency, you're actually going to be pushing that outcome further away from you than if you just go with the flow. So exemplifying this point, if we look further in the same passage of James, it says, "You see then how that by works a man is justified, and not by faith only." And we got to be clear here. When we say works, when we say corresponding action, we're not talking about ritual. We're talking about bearing the fruit. We're talking about doing the things that will actually bring it to pass. We have to be careful not to come from a place where we're just sitting around and saying, I've done the inner work and I'm expecting things to flow, but I'm not going to lift a finger in the physical, and that's not going to change anything. We do have to literally embody the state wherewith we're actually bringing to pass that reality. And sometimes that involves actually doing things that will bring that to pass. A lot of people think, oh, I've set my intention, it's just going to fall in my lap, and if I do anything, that's exercising out of faith, in disbelief, and I'm actually trying to force it. That's not true. When you actually operate in faith, you're actually bringing that to you by being the catalyst that's bringing it to pass in the world, because we live in a physical reality. So we do have to put in some kind of effort in the physical. But that doesn't mean we're stressing out. That doesn't mean we're forcing things. That just means we're bearing the fruit from the tree that we're already plugged into. And that tree should be the living logos. And when you're plugged into the living logos, it will manifest the living reality that it itself is constantly attempting to create in the world. The only thing holding it back is our own egos, our own getting in the way and trying to manipulate things from the physical realm. But ultimately, this end goal is going to manifest whether we do it willingly or unwillingly. So join the team willingly and do the work that needs to be done without fighting it, without stressing over it, without resisting it, without saying that, oh, if I do that, that's not faith, that's not etheric, so it's operating the physical and therefore I've lost it. No, we're holistic beings. We're here as spirits having a physical experience. So because we're having a physical experience, let's do the physical work and let's literally change this physical plane by being the physical catalyst that actually bring that physical experience into our own lives and manifest the best life yet. Not just for us, but for everybody involved. We can literally step into a utopia where everybody enjoys a piece of that puzzle. So I love you guys. Do your part and really bring to pass your dream because it's in you for a reason. Manifest. Be the change you want to see in the world. I love you guys. I'll see you in the next reasoning sesh. Joel signing out once again. Agape. Salaam. Namaste. Shalom.